Yo, what's up everyone? Today we'll be discussing mainly the heroes from Alliance, as well as check out once again the All Towers mode by KM5, and just to make things a little bit spicy, since I assume most people are already bored by just the regular gameplay, so yeah. Okay, I might have messed that up. Well, either way, maybe next time. I mean, either way, the main point of this live stream is to discuss the heroes, so that shouldn't be that big of a deal, honestly. I will also be playing mainly the stage 15 and 16 for the most part, since I don't really care about the other stages. Well, yeah, some people say that stage 14 is difficult. I completely agree with that statement. But I just wanna make things a little bit more spicy for myself. I mean, since I'll be releasing most likely the tier list tomorrow for the heroes, finally, after procrastinating it for over a week now. I mean, it has gotten over an hour long at this point, so I'm sorry that it took this long. But just wanna discuss a little bit about the heroes with all of you, since I'm curious to see other opinions, since I might switch around some of the final placements, since I'm still at the editing process. Also, I don't really have all of them at max level, since I played in a lot of different save files from the Steam version, like I mainly record from my phone, and that's where I have all of the heroes maxed out.
We're still not right.
I guess we can probably start by analyzing each hero, or I would just go through every single one of them in the different stages. Like both of these, I guess, sound like a reasonable thing to me.
Listen to nature.
I mean, yeah, I guess we should probably start with the ones that I'm currently using. So we have Nairo and Grimson, two of the 4 free heroes in the game. What I'll say about Grimson is that I think that he is vastly overrated by a lot of people. Like, I get that design is cool and all, but honestly, overall his kit is just... it doesn't really synergize or fits him well, and it's mainly due to one of his abilities, like the one where he transforms into a mutant. Well, it usually triggers way too late, and he cannot get that much of a use out of it. And it also overlaps with his other heal ability, which just basically negates both of those abilities at the same time. Which is just unfortunate when compared to Nairo, who basically has everything going for him. Like, you have the pixies, which allows him to deal with the blinkers, you have the shield of nature that right now he's using, and it allows him to survive for so much longer, even when compared with Grimson, for example. Well, you cannot really stall the horrors or the behemoths, but he still gets the job done. Also, will even... yeah, Grimson cannot even survive a Blade Claw horror with his mutant form. Like, that will be one of the main points that I'll be discussing tomorrow. Like, if it's triggered, let's say at, I don't know, maybe 35 or 40%, it would have been such a great ability for him, but the fact that he doesn't, well, it basically brings him all the way down to C tier, which is unfortunate, since he does have quite a cool design. But I guess most people cannot really realize that, and just basically rank him purely on his design, which is a thing that I don't really like doing. Like, it's alright if he's fun to use, but that's not objectively right, at least for me. And I like to be critical about those things. What are my thoughts on Necromancer? I don't think I'll be discussing mainly the towers in this live stream.
Verdant is my
I'll just
hue.
stick to heroes. I'll just say that I'm not that huge fan of the Necromancer. It's vastly overrated the same way as Grimson. Like people, they just know from Frontiers that the Necromancer is broken and assume that it's the same case for Alliance. And they are two completely different towers. So I don't even get the hype behind all of this.
Verdant is my hue.
I mean, also for my tower wall of choice for this one in particular, it's random. Like it was supposed to be the old towers mode, which allows me to use every single tower in the game during the same level. But I don't know, during the loading process it just didn't work for some reason. We'll fix it for the next live stream, so yeah, that's a little bit unfortunate for this one. But yeah, I think that these were the main talking points that I want to discuss about Grimson and Nairo. Like, Nairo can basically do everything in the game. You have the great mobility, you have the fixes to deal with blinkers, you have the shield for the area damage, you have one of the best hero spells in the game. Like, look at this area, it's really huge. And it also deals quite a bit of damage, like it almost sold the husks. Like if it even had a 10% damage increase, it would have been broken. Just goes to show how good of a hero spell it is. And well, basically you can do everything with Nairo, and such a good hero to have in your arsenal. Well, Grimson, well, you have quite an okay hero spell, I guess. And this ability, the one where he spawns all the spies, it's one of his better ones. Also his ability where he insta-kills an enemy below like certain threshold, which also heals him, it's not that good since it overlaps with his mutant form. And he, like, right now, since he's in his mutant form, he cannot use that ability, which is just stupid. I mean, it makes sense, but it just doesn't fit his kit overall, and brings him down way too much, at least for me. Also, I would rather use Nairo as a store compared to Grimson, at least in this case. Like, we'll see how capable he is to deal with a behemoth. I don't reckon he'll do quite well. Yeah, he had enough. Like, he even used his mutant form, but by the time he transformed, he was already dead. Which just further proves my point, while we have Nairo with the Shield of Nature, which basically full heals her. What's my rationale about Lumir? Cosmic placing above one another. One falls on more single target and small, while the other has some crazy abilities. Well, basically, when it comes to ranking the dragons, like, it doesn't really matter, at least for me, which one do you consider to be the stronger one, since both of them are easy S tier and the best heroes in the game. And just trying to argue which one is technically better than the other is just stupid, since the difference is at most around 3 to 5%. At least for my playstyle, I find Lumineer to be slightly better, just because of her Holy Sword and the hero spell, because I personally think that Lumineer has the best hero spell in the game, like summoning 3 paladins which deal 400 damage each, which is also true damage, so it doesn't matter which enemy it affects. It's just such a good ability, it basically negates 3 enemies, like we have those 2 blade wall horrors. If I had Lumineer's hero spell right now, I could very simply just use it and I'll be kept very easily able to deal with both of them. And it also provides a stall as a bonus if the damage wasn't enough. While Cosmir, well, his hero spell is also one of the best ones in the game, yeah, there's no denying that. He also has an okay insta-kill, I guess, It triggers when an enemy is below 800 damage, if I remember correctly, which doesn't make it like a 100% kill, but still cool one since the damage that it leaves after an enemy explodes is enough to at least finish off all the glarings. And being able to deal with those guys is really efficient since they are one of the most annoying enemies when like they get thrown out by the husks, since they usually are the enemy that gets furthest to the exit. I mean, good thing at least we have close to end states, which doesn't allow the husks to trigger their glaring spawns. Otherwise, the game would have been insanely difficult. Like for example, in this spot, none of them triggered their glaring spawns. And if they did, well, it wouldn't have been that cool, honestly. Also, I don't even know when this fight ended. I was just warming up. Didn't try to make it that sweaty. The only problem I have with hero balance is Taurus being Taurus and Grimson's ability is not working. Yeah, well, I don't even think I'll be discussing Taurus in this live stream in particular, since I find him to be extremely weak. Like, it's obvious that he's the worst hero in the game. There's no need to discuss it furthermore.
Nothing is forbidden.
Also, yeah, every single part of the Luminier's kit is true damage compared to Cosmere, which is physical. Like, I get that he does area damage, and there aren't a lot of heroes which can deal area damage, so that's a really solid thing going on for Cosmere. But at the same time, I don't like consider him to be an S tier hero because of his basic attack, but more so because of his hero spell and one of his abilities where he lands on the ground and summons all of those spikes. Basically, the spikes that he summons are enough to one-tap all the mindless husks, or for that matter, all the glarings that get spawned afterwards, which basically just make Cosmere one, like, some people might even say that he is the best hero, which I completely understand. Like, once again, I don't really care which dragon you consider to be the better one, as long as you agree that both of them are the best ones. I just love two mages, yeah, me as well. I mean, Nairo and Therian combined is really solid to do, since you have both the Dark Army and the Wynerian hero spell star upgrades abilities, which just synergize so well with each other. I really like the heroes from last, most of them are really balanced, and even the two drums don't feel too OP, although they do trivial as the game. Well, when compared with Vengeance, they're definitely way better balanced. Like in Vengeance we have Ice Cold, Murd and Dianion. All of those heroes, they basically trivialize the whole game and just make it really unfun to play. I mean, if you're going to play Vengeance for real, you're not gonna bother using the dragon heroes, otherwise I would consider that as cheating. Well, for Alliance, well, that's not really the case. Like, I don't see anything wrong with using the dragons. Yeah, they surely make the game a lot easier, but at the same time they do not feel as broken. A lot of people ask me if I think that Ice Cold is better than both of heroes in Alliance combined. I think that the answer is an easy yes. Like, I would much rather have Ice Cold than both of the dragons in Alliance combined. Which is just crazy, like, considering that a single hero is stronger than two. I mean, yet again, the heroes in Alliance are balanced in such a way that they act more so like a single hero, since you no longer have the player's spell. I mean, like, not to say that Soul Impact did a whole lot in Vengeance, but you get the point. Like, you have two heroes, not one, so balance should be considered. Otherwise, if you make the game feel more like hero defense rather than tower defense, it just gets away from the point of the game. Also, what is this reach? Ah, right, yeah, I haven't reached level 10 with Nairo yet. But yeah, for the most part, the heroes in Alliance are definitely way better balanced when compared to the towers. At least, in my opinion, the towers still need huge bounce changes to make them feel more like equal, since a lot of them get outclassed by the others. Like for example, there's a huge debate between Royal Archers and Ballista, and although they have vastly different roles, like you mainly use the Ballista as a support tower, since you have the Scrap Bomb, which acts as an artillery, which strangely enough is a better artillery than most of the other abilities, artilleries in the game. And you have the Nairo, which is a good ability against the blinkers, since it, well, for the most part, it perma-stalls them, and it's always a good thing to have a stun for the blinkers. But for me at least, the Royal Archers, they can basically solve all of your problems, so they're the better tower when compared with the Ballista. But I can see why people think that the Ballista is better, at least it has quite more interesting design. Necromancer and Ballista are absolute busting, and I also Grimson, but his abilities don't always work. Well, I don't really get the Necromancer hype. Me personally, I'm not that big of a fan of it. Like, I prefer using Eldritch Channeler, Arcane, or even Emissary. I consider all three of those mages to be better than Necromancer. I think that it's way overhyped because of Frontiers, but this Necromancer is not the same one as the Necromancer in Frontiers. I think that people usually overlook this statement. Yeah, basically the dragons in Vengeance are not even like 40 to 50%, like in some instances you can beat the whole level with just Ice Cold or Murkran or the Yannion. I think that you can even beat the whole campaign on casual with just the dragons, so it's just crazy, there's no need to discuss it. They decided they'll make the heroes weaker because you get, yeah, absolutely. Hey Campfire, good to see you here, my man. I'm working on the old Taras motor, and just when I fixed the Arcane Wizard and channeled the Dune Sense, well, that's unfortunate. I hope that you fix it for the next time, since I personally really enjoy using your mode. It definitely makes the game more fun. Did we get an update for Frontiers on its 10th year anniversary? Because I watched a video from Video last year. Well, the update for Frontiers regarding the 10-year anniversary was the challenge browser that was added, where you can share or create challenges for the game, which was just stupid since you already could do that by yourself. Like, it just basically adds a panel for you. It saves you, I guess, some of the hassle, but for the most part I don't even consider it to be as an actual update. Like, I expected at the very least to see a new hero, and then you see the Ironhide statement that they will no longer be continuing development for the first 3 games, which is like, come on, they deserve an update at least for the 10-year anniversary. But yeah, well, not really more to comment on that. I think Vodiok said on Colin's team yesterday that he thinks Anya is better than Umnir. Well, Anya is, at least for me, the 3rd best hero. Like, there is no denying that. She is the best stower in the game after all. There isn't a single enemy she cannot deal with. But at the same time, her area damage is really lacking. Like, she just focuses on one target and that's about it. And you have to rely mainly on artilleries, since Anya cannot really provide that AoE damage. I mean, Dante is a great tool to have to deal with the blinkers, and that's usually one of the main reasons why Anya ranks so high, at least for me. Also, I don't even know, I'm not implying a strategy that you can use for this, I'll show it a little bit later. Also, I don't know why I'm just playing the Overseer. I guess it's just a good stage to showcase the different heroes. I'll also be experimenting with random towers, like I don't even care what I go for. We're here just to discuss heroes at the end of the day. Yeah, okay, Astrozy, good to see you, my man. Well, I just get enough of RC. Also, hearing him say that Alliance is an overrated game and way too expensive, well, he cannot truly understand how good of a game it is, nor the fact that it will get updates which will increase the content significantly. But who am I to judge someone who has no experience with the Kingdom Rush games? So yeah. and still being able to perma-stone even kill flash golem still stuns me, yeah, it's definitely crazy. She's definitely the Margosa equivalent for Alliance. Like, you know, Margosa can even solo Ulrich or Malik. I think there are some videos who showcase that, which is just crazy to think about. Also, any opinions on Unagro? Like, even here, where both lanes are really close to each other, I still find difficulties using him, since his movement speed is basically non-existent. I mean, at least from my experience, I found out that he's the best hero when it comes to dealing with the blinkers or even the lesser eyes. The thing is that he has to be on the path for that to happen, which I'm not really doing a good job at currently. But yeah, you get the point. The Death Rider ability is very good. I mean, yeah, it's easily an A or S tier ability. I have nothing against it. At least if people don't use the Silence Totem for the Necromancer, I'll be pleased. But if people were to use Elder Channel or Arborian Emissary or even Arcane compared to the Necromancer, I will be even happier, since I'm a little bit annoyed from people who still consider the Necromancer to be the best mage in the game, which is cannot really be further from the truth. You want me to lower the volume of the game? Okay, I will lower it slightly. I hope that it's better now. Excuse me if that was the case. Why can't we get along? I don't know. I guess everyone has different opinions, but at least in my case, I don't really like it when people try to prove me otherwise, when I have been playing this game for around a month now, while people haven't even played it for a week, and it's just stupid to compare yourself with someone who has way more experience with the game than you.
So shall it.
Also, I'm not really tryharding at the moment, so ignore the part that I will not be beating this level with 3 stars. That's not the point of this live stream anyways. I really like the 10-year anniversary hero from the first game, and he's really fun to play. Yeah, I also hope to have something similar for Frontiers, but one can only dream, I guess. Also, even for Origins, nothing is gonna happen there. At least we had the challenge browser for Frontiers. Like, that's just crazy. Okay, enough about that. Where I'm from? Well, I'm from Europe. I'll say that much, at least for now. Don't really wanna dox myself at the moment. Place on the edge of the path and he should... Yeah, Onagro definitely has good range. He will be able to shoot both paths, but at the same time I would rather him be a little bit more ahead of the map, since, you know, by the time that the enemies get to the glaring, well, it's basically over, you cannot really stop them. Also, it's one of the main reasons why I hate Mindless Husk so much in this level, since they'll throw off their glarings like somewhere around here and they're already in the glare, and you cannot do anything about them if you don't have a barrack to stall them with. Best tower in my opinion. I don't really wanna comment on the towers right now, but okay, I'll say that it's the Royal Archers. Like, I get that it's plain old boring and simple tower, but it just gets the job done so easily that you cannot really say that it's not the best tower. Like, blinkers are one of the most annoying enemies in the game, and Royal Archers are one of the best counters. I mean, at least if the Overseer doesn't move them, that is. And also, the triple shot basically turns the tower into a true damage dealer, which furthermore makes it such a versatile tower. Like, the Royal Archers basically have zero issues with enemies. Like, there isn't a single enemy that the tower cannot counter, and its DPS is also really solid. It's 10% worse than that of the Ballista, but at the same time the Ballista misses so much that its general damage is weaker than that of the Royal Archers. And when you get the triple shot ability, well, it just skyrockets in overall DPS. Okay, so where were we? Yeah, I'm using Onagro and Warhead for the time being, so I guess we can discuss them. I personally, when I started playing the game, thought that Warhead was one of the worst heroes in the game, since like he's considered to be a tank, but at the same time he cannot even deal with the behemoth for that long. I mean, yeah, granted it's the toughest enemy in the game, but still, you are a tank, you are supposed to be able to tank it. Like for example, we have Torres Anya. Anya isn't even a tank, like she's supposed to have other hero and she's performs way better than Warhead, who is supposed to be an area damage tank. I mean, which is just straight up crazy, considering those things. I mean, his area abilities are definitely a good thing to have. Like the hero spell is a really nice lane clear, and we also have the smoke screen, like the ability where if you position him behind the enemies, he will shoot that big stream of missiles, or I don't even know how do you call it. But I mean, in this case, we won't be able to stop the behemoth just because Warhead doesn't have the necessary hit points to survive. I mean, yeah, granted, I finished the Overseer before that happened, but you get the point regardless. Hey Ant, good to see you here, man. Yeah, I'll be streaming for around 1 or 2 hours. We'll try to discuss every single hero in the game, since I am curious to see what other people think about the heroes. Okay, I guess we will use this time my favorite hero duel, since I need to get some dopamine in, otherwise I'll fall asleep, if you get what I'm trying to say.
Hunting is
Have I seen the community post of Rexy where he beat the Overseer with just royal archers? Well, I mean, it's really easy to do. Like, you basically just get all tier 4 archers, and they can solve everything, as I said. And once again, it's the main reason why I think that it's the best tower. Like, brainlessly spamming them will get you the job done, which is just crazy to think about. Stream is freezing. I hope that everything is alright. At least it's not freezing for me. So I hope that it's on your part.
Don't fear the unknown.
Why did I choose Elder Channel as my profile picture? Well, you know, when the game was announced shortly after all the towers and heroes were revealed, I looked through all of them and I just found the Elder Channel design to be a really cool fit for me. Like, it fits my personality to some extent, which is why I just decided to like Photoshop it, just the guy, since he looks like edgy and awesome and menacing and all those cool stuff, you know. I mean, like, it's nothing that special, I just like the design, and since I'm just making Kingdom Rush videos, I think that it was a good fit, since I used to rock the Vesnan profile picture, but well, I figured that it's not really unique, which I decided to change it to the Elder Channeler. Also, we have Anya as the third best hero just because of this fact, like, spawners, there are no issue to her. We also have Dante, and well, these two basically just melt him. And at the end of the day, spawners and blinkers are the ones who are going to ruin your game. So yeah, we have Anya, the best tank and stower in the game, like crazy versatile, awesome movement speed. Like, there isn't a single thing bad about her, apart from the missing area damage. But at the same time, you can cover this very easily with just, I don't know, using artilleries, which is not actually that good of an idea, since artilleries really suck in this game. Like, you're better off using, I don't know, even dunes, anything else will get you the job done better than artilleries, for the most part. I mean, at least we can here rely on Therian's Rifts. Like, if you see this, look at this. Doesn't care whether it's husks or glarings, it will just melt all of them, and the rifts stay for 10 seconds, and the total damage output they can do is around 600 in my testing, which is just crazy. 600 is so much for this game in particular. How good or bad are Grim Raids? I mean, for me at least, they are the best tower when it comes to barracks. Like, the only other contendant for the Grim Raids are Paladins, but at the same time I feel like that the Grim Raid's overall damage output and the versatility that they provide with the tower movement ability just gives them an edge over the paladins. Although if you're using the paladins well, surely the enemy that they walk on, it will get perma-stalled there until it gets finished off. Like, there is no denying that.
Behold the unending.
I think Tyrion would be so much better if she had more action if her clone spawned behind her instead in front of with both of these factors. Her clone often gets into melee combat. Yeah, actually, that's a really solid point. I also don't like the fact that Tyrion's clone gets placed in front of her, since it will usually walk onto an enemy and will get wasted. And it would be way better spot for the clone to be placed behind her, since it will be able to provide the damage, since you have the clone with just 50 HP and basically dies from everything.
Sky's not my limit.
I mean, in this case it's alright since there weren't a lot of enemies, but like, what is this? It would have been such better hero design to be placed behind her. I mean, the same goes mainly for Grimson, since a lot of his abilities contradict with his overall kit. Dante deals a lot more damage than I thought he... I mean, Dante deals around 900 damage in total, which is true damage. Let's not forget that. It doesn't matter which enemy he walks on, he will deal that 900 damage, and it's also quite fast shooting, so no damage will get wasted on Glarims or other stupid enemies.
The void.
And once again, Dante is probably the best thing to handle the blinkers, which are the #1 most hated enemy. So that already makes Anya one of the best heroes.
The sky's not my limit.
Kingdom of Shaitan will bring 6 heroes into battle. That will be definitely crazy. Like, imagine you have half of the screen with just the heroes and the other half with the hero spells. Like, no sane person will be able to manage all those heroes at the same time. I mean, I've played with mode that allows me to use all the heroes from the trilogy, but I'm just using them for experimental purposes, not really trying to beat a level with just them or those sort of things. I didn't understand why Vesper is C tier. Well, honestly, after my testing, he proved to be better than I initially thought. Like, he doesn't really have a lot of weaknesses. He has decent survivability, just like Eridan. Like, you can even go to say that Vesper is just Eridan 2.0, and that's a compliment, since Eridan is quite a decent hero in Origins to start with.
Behold the unending.
But I mean, yeah, he has the damage to deal with blinkers for the most part, but I would rather have Anya or even Unagro. Also, what is happening here? Like, this behemoth just gave up or something. I mean, that's why Tyrion is B tier. She's so awesome that she makes the behemoth stop attacking. So take notes.
The sky's not my limit.
But yeah, my main gripe about Vesper is that his overall DPS is insignificant. Like, I would really like him to have 1 or 2 buffs to his skills. Like, for example, the stun arrow is a good utility to have, but I think if the damage was doubled, it would serve as a much better ability, and it will really easily deal with the blinkers. And if a hero can deal with those guys, I'll already place him high on my tier list. Yeah, also the ability descriptions for a lot of things in this game are just plain old stupid and don't really show you what it actually does. Like, you have the same thing happening in BT6, like where you have a tier 5 just say Annihilator for every single thing on screen, not how cool of a design it has, or like in general what it does. I want to know the stats, like the numbers. Otherwise, well, I cannot really get a confident opinion on it. Also, this part is getting a little bit out of hand, so I hope that the Overseer dies sooner. Yeah, I'll just give up at this point, no need to deal with the enemies anymore. Maybe the game with Vesper and Warhead, I could see why Warhead is bad, but I think Vesper is A tier. I don't know, I think that A tier is a stretch for Vesper. Like, they're way better heroes than him, and he's just a lackluster for the most part. Like, all of his abilities are just mediocre at best. Even his hero spell, which is one of the better parts about his kit, is not that special, at least for me. Am I the only one who played the whole game with Vesper? Well, during my first playthrough, I just played him for the first 3 or 4 stages and then I immediately switched to another one, since I find them to be, let's say, more engaging to play with when compared with Vesper. Like, I don't give him negative points for being boring or uh, not interesting or dopamine intensive and all other stuff. I'm not like most people who just go and say, yeah, the hero is boring to play, therefore he is one of the worst ones in the game. No, that's just a stupid thing to say. Like, you have to be really analytical when talking about those sort of stuff, and you shouldn't really get influenced by the amount of fun you get while playing certain hero or tower, which I usually try to do for the most part, but in some rare occasions I fail, since there will always be bias in some of the tier lists, but I try my best to erase the bias, so that all of my rankings are as close to the reality as possible. Do I think that rocket gunners are good or bad? Well, originally, I thought that they were one of the best towers in the game, since I usually really liked using one rocket gunner at each exit, and they will for the most part be able to deal with the blinkers. But then I realized that you can basically do the same with Royal Archers or even Ballista, and it will get the job done even better than them, and they also cannot die from the Noxious Spitters, since usually one Noxious Spitter hits and your rocket gunners will be dead. Like, they have the utility to stall 2 units, but at the same time they have the lowest survivability in the game when it comes to barracks, so they are not even that efficient when it comes to that regard as well. So at least for me, they're like a B tier tower. They're okay. They're not one of the worst, not one of the best. They're just right there in the middle. Ricochet and March of Forge both have good DPS. Well, yeah, I like the Ricochet arrow for Vesper, but at the same time, there are many other hero spells, I mean abilities which basically get the job done better than his Ricochet arrow. Like, it's just underwhelming for me. I mean, yeah, it can bounce up to how much? 7 or 8 enemies, but at the same time, the damage isn't a whole lot. Like, I expect more in order to consider him to be a AoE damaging hero, which for the most part he isn't, but yeah, it would have been a good thing for him to have in his arsenal. Also, for Broden we have those Griffons, which they always will deal 1k damage, like every single time you use them, they will deal 1k damage, which is definitely a lot, and it shouldn't be neglected at all. And we also have Relin, which is basically the second best tank in the game. Like, all of her abilities synergize so well, apart from when she uses her taunt, which stuns and lowers the enemy's damage and the shield, since both of them pair, well, not that good, let's say. If the timing was significantly different from one another, I can see her being an even better tank. But yeah, I mean, for the most part, she will be able to stall the enemy that she walks on, and then you wouldn't have to worry about it. But I mean, in this case, you see, she uses the taunt, and then she immediately uses the shield, and that's a thing that I don't really like about her. Like, just use one of the two. There is no need to overkill your defense power that much. Like, enemies are not that broken with the ones in Vengeance, where you have all sorts of things dealing well above 200 damage. Like, it's just unnecessary at this point. Yeah, some people think Torres is good. Yeah, I don't even know how to explain the Torres hype. I just personally don't know what they see in him. Since he is easily the worst hero, his movement speed is abysmal. Like, you cannot even confidently use him to stop a single enemy. And even if he walks onto one enemy, he'll just try to build his tower thingy, and he'll engage out of combat. And let's say that you have an enemy around the exit, and you have Torres in that exact same spot. Well, he will build his tower, and then he'll just engage out of combat with that enemy, and well, it's game over for you, which is just so stupid when you think about it. I mean, at the very least, let's say that in other parallel universe he had really good movement speed. Even then, I would consider him to be a bad hero because he doesn't really have anything going on for him apart from his hero spell, which actually damages even flank enemies. And hitting one Void Blinker, well, it will be enough to stop it. Like, then you just need one set of reinforcements and they will get the job done. Like, that's a good thing for him. But he have many other hero spells that just perform way better than his, like Therian, Nairo, Grimson. Yeah, not Grimson. He has one of the worst hero spells in the game. I wouldn't go as far as to say that his one is better than Torres. I can't wait for someone to discover how Anya can solve the Overseer. Well, it would definitely be a fun thing to try out, but I don't know how it will go in practice. I thought heroes couldn't damage the Overseer, I used Vesper and he wasn't able to hit him. Well, you can basically place your hero in either this spot or this spot, and most of them will be able to hit the Overseer. Like, for example, Broden will not be able to hit him since his basic attack is an area effect one, and area effects don't work on the Overseer. Like, if you try to use artilleries, you'll notice that they cannot target the Overseer. Well, that's just how it's called, I guess. And when you see him target the Overseer, well, that's just one of his basic abilities, which is a single target DPS, which I'll ask him, like, right now, the one he uses. This is the only way for him to damage the Overseer. I mean, I don't even know if the Griffins work on him. I'll test them out, just in case, since I don't want to spread misinformation. Like, if we place them here, one of them will engage with the Overseer, but the other one is way out of range, so he will never be able to reach it. I don't know if that's the same if you maybe place them here, for example. Yeah, once again, only one of the Griffins can target the Overseer. I mean, it's still 500 damage, but if you are trying to do a better Songi run, you'd rather use both dragons since they will be able to target the Overseer 100% of the time, since they even prioritize him rather than the enemies. Which again, I don't know why that's the case. I think that they're the only heroes which prioritize him rather than the enemies. I mean, but those are small things which you get to learn after playing the fight for numerous times. I mean, at this point I've probably beaten the Overseer around 100 times, so like there isn't a gimmick that I'm not familiar with. Yeah, Nairo is definitely leagues above Vesper. Like, every single thing in Nairo's arsenal is just a better version of the one in Vesper's, apart from the hero spell, which Nairo cannot target flank enemies, which is a downside, but at the same time his other abilities compensate for that matter, since they do allow him to confidently deal with the flank enemies, like the pixies are one of the main things making Nairo A tier, at least in my opinion. Also, when you get to this point, like, it's better to just focus on the Overseer, since there is no need to even try to stop those scourges. Like, that's the way this level goes. Yeah, Nairo is easily the best free hero. There is no debate in that. People who think otherwise, well, they just haven't played around with Nairo enough, I think. Ryan is the second best free hero, like, she's definitely a good hero, but I won't go as far as say that she's the best free hero. Like Nairo just outclasses her way too much. Like she can do the same thing as Ragin, but also target flank enemies. And being able to target flank enemies in this game is definitely a huge plus to have. Okay, we will go with the stupid dragon this time, just for showcasing purposes once again. Also, I will stop using Royal Archer since it's getting a little bit out of hand at this point. Yeah, we'll go for this tower setup. At least for me, we have Nairo and then Close Dragon, and then Vesper and Grimson are leaks below those two. Like, there is no need to compare these four. The balance is really obvious. I mean, one thing that we definitely need to discuss is which dragon hero do you reckon is the better one of the two? In my opinion, it's Luminir, but from what I've seen, most people will go to say that Cosmere is the better one. I guess the main reason is because of the great AoE damage, and having good AoE damage in this game is really good since, you know, the towers, which are artilleries, they definitely don't work for this game. So having someone fix that role for you is definitely a huge plus to have. Yeah, the dragons are definitely better than everything else in the game. Like, they are not stupidly broken, but they're leagues above all the other heroes. Like, for example, you saw Cosmere's spike ability. This ability basically souls all the husks. We also have the insta-kill, which vaporizes all the glare-rings that get in contact with the insta-killed enemy. We also have AoE with every single basic attack, which is an awesome addition to have. And we have Luminir, which all of her kit deals true damage, which is just insane to think about, since the other thing which deals only true damage is the Flame Spitter. Also, one other thing to note is that Emissary cannot debuff the Overseer. It will not make him receive 50% extra damage for those who are not aware, since I do find a lot of people who think that the Emissary can debuff the Overseer, but there is no visual indicator, and I also checked it out for myself. It doesn't work, so that myth has long been busted. Also, just look at this spike ability, even attacks all the lanes at the same time. Like, it's not Nairo's hero spell, where if you use it, it will either choose one of the two lanes. Cosmere's one will go to all of the lanes, which is just crazy to think about. And we have his hero spell, which synergizes really well with the final upgrade for the Dark Army part. Like, the Swow is such a nice thing to have. Also, the main reason why I think that Luminir is the best hero, well, just look at this. You just use her hero spell and she'll negate both of the Blade Claw horrors. And then we have Cosmere with his broken spike attack. It basically finishes everything off. And when combined, these two heroes, they're definitely a powerhouse. Like, it's not even close. I mean, I don't even know how Ironhide managed to balance them so well, but they just work really well with each other. Yeah, I know that I must micro better, but at the same time I'm not like swearing at the moment. I'm just trying to showcase the different heroes and so we can discuss them. I mean, I'm definitely not doing a good job for the time being, but I'm more focused on talking about all their strengths and weaknesses, more so than the gameplay in itself. Since, you know, we have other people which focus on that, and I'm not one of them. I mean, just goes to show that I have Grim Raids equipped, and at the same time I'm not even using them to move my towers in an adequate spot. Yeah, you can basically just put him on the side of the path and he'll never trigger his spike ability. And then, I mean, even the cooldown is not that huge, So you can wait for the right moment, then engage with a group of enemies and he'll instantly use his crystal ability. Like right now, you see this, and it one pops all of the husks, and then we have just the glarings to deal with. And in case you don't have anything else for those glarings, you can use Cosmir's hero spell, and it will finish all of them off. So he basically completely nullifies the husks. I mean, the damage is also alright, I guess. 39 to 62. It can help you to deal with blinkers, but Lumnir is better in that regard, since she has around 50% more DPS than Cosmir when it comes to their basic attacks. Also, I mean, look at that hero spell, it's just so busted. Like, even the stun is unnecessary, but it's there just for good measure, I suppose. Well, I don't know, maybe in this case he will get to the end, or maybe not. Yeah, well, Cosmere is busted either way, so no need to worry about that. I mean, the debate will definitely be for the next couple of months, like which dragon hero is the better one of the two. But when it comes to discussing them, you can just confidently say that both of them are S tier and are the second and first best hero in the game. Like, going into the specifics is really needed. I mean, is there even another hero set which is similar to Cosmere and Luminir? Like, it's comparing Geralt to Ulrich. Both of them are great duelists in their game. Like, I can see some people will say that Geralt is the overall better duelist, but at the same time you shouldn't forget that Ulrich has that barrack aspect into him, which gives him an edge. Like, both of them have uh, pros which the other hero doesn't, which the same applies for Cosmere and Luminir. Like, we have Luminir dealing only true damage. Like, for example, this behemoth, he has how much percentage is the armor again? Around 60%? I'm not exactly sure, but Cosmere deals next to no damage for the behemoths, and we have Luminir with the Holy Sword which already does 500, and then you combine that with her hero spell, and you already have 1000 damage dealt to the behemoth. I mean, in this case, also the range is quite huge. For example, if you place it somewhere around here, it will be able to target both the spawner and the behemoth. Like, right now, it might be a little bit too late for that to happen. Yeah, they're definitely spread far enough. Or maybe they aren't. Well, you see, even though there's so much distance between the two enemies, Luminir's hero spell was still able to catch both of them, which is just crazy to think about, and it's usually one of the more overlooked aspects about her. I mean, also, like, compared to the previous tries that I attempted this fight, you can see how much easier it is with the dragons. Granted that, yeah, I am using this time around the Grim Raids, which definitely makes my life easier. But at the same time, I feel like that the dragons are still stealing the show. I love it when you upgrade the channel 3 times. Yeah, the voice line is definitely one of the coolest ones in the game. Cosmere is really OP because of the crowd of enemies. I prefer Luminir though because of my playstyle. Her high single target damage is really useful. Her true damage is invaluable as well. Yeah, well, this is the main thing that makes me believe that Luminir has a slight edge above Cosmere. I mean, yeah, Cosmere is indeed a powerhouse. He makes all the weaker enemies be non-existent, but at the same time, Blade Claw horrors, like this thing is here, they are one of the harder enemies to deal with since barracks cannot really handle them due to their insane overall damage. Like, it says 28 to 42, but in reality it's not that, like it's way much more than that. And you see the Holy Sword is such a good ability, like there isn't any other ability in the game which can deal that much damage to an enemy. Like it's 560 if I'm not mistaken. And the other ones that even come close to that is we have Broden's insta kill, which works up to 600, and then we have Cosmir's one, which works for enemies up to 800 damage, if I'm not mistaken. And we have Luminir's Holy Sword, which basically always does 540 regardless of the enemy's HP amount, which is such a good thing to have.
Always on target. No one can stop us.
Which hero has the best dead voice line? Well, I think that the best voice lines have Luminir and Cosmere since they never die, if you get what I mean.
Nothing is forbidden.
Anya could so ice cold 100%. Well, the thing is, Dante will be able to hit ice cold, but then you need to consider that ice cold can freeze the whole screen for 14 seconds. So by the time Anya even starts to engage with ice cold, he would have long ago have defeated her. So there is no even need to compare those two. Like it's just laughable. Also, I don't even know, I'm still not implying the strategy for this level. Like it's always a good idea to start with cheap tier 1 towers in the outer layers of the stage, since the first tower that the Overseer will move will be the first that you build on the map. In this case I firstly built the Channeler, and as you can see he will indeed move my Channeler. I mean, that's a good thing to note if you're a mobile user and don't have access to the premium towers. Suggestive Judgment has worse DPS than Brutal Slash. Well, it might have a worse DPS, but at the same time, Brutal Slash only is useful when you have Raging in combat and you don't really need to have Luminir in combat to deal that exact same damage. And most of the times it will be hard to make Anya target the right enemy, while Luminir prioritizes the one with the most HP in the area, like it will not target Husks or Glarings or those sort of enemies. I mean, I don't know, both of those abilities are one of the best ones in the game, so there isn't really a need to discuss them. I mean, yeah, you can micro her to engage with an enemy of your choice. Like, that's definitely a plus to have. Especially when it comes to dealing with, you know, spawners. Brutal Slash basically erases half of their overall hit point. But yeah, Suggestive Judgment also has the stun. Yeah, that's usually a thing that gets overlooked. Like, the stun is really nice addition. Also, I might be losing this stage again, but that's mainly because I'm using two of the worst heroes in the game and they are under leveled, so yeah, it's logical. The best voice line in Kingdom Rush is "Goddamn, I'm too hot." Yeah, Olog do be rocking the epic voice lines. Well, I think that my favorite one is for Beresat. Like, Time is Golden, such a sophisticated voice line. Even though he thinks it in another way. Do you think Ballista spam can beat the Overseer? Well, absolutely. If you can beat the Overseer with just Royal Archer spam, then you might as well beat it with Ballista spam. Like, we can even try this the next attempt, since I will be failing this one shortly due to my under-leveled heroes. Okay, we can see Grimson in action with his mutant form. I mean, it helps him to deal with the husks, since they basically have next to zero damage, but like, apart from that, well, it's not that useful. If he's in combat with Blade Claw Horror or, I don't know, Behemoth for that matter, he will easily die. I mean, let's check it out. So we have, with less than 20% health, here again 60%, well, that's the insta-kill. I mean 20%, well, it's not that much, but the thing is that it interferes with this one. We have when below 25% health, it definitely should be 35 or 40 for it to be efficient, since when he's below 25% health, he basically gets 1 or 2 tap, and by the time he transforms, he will be already being dead. Also, this ability, I've seen a lot of people suggest that it helps with dealing with fires, like for example blinkers, or it can one-shot a lesser eye. Like, that's just a stupid argument. You will not be using Grimson for dealing with flank enemies. Like, I don't even know what Grimson's purpose is, to be honest. He's just trying to be an all-rounder, but fails at everything.
You have my permission to die.
I mean, just a sad story.
Easy meat, boys! Let's pin him down! Easy meat, boys! Easy meat, boys! Easy meat,
I mean, if you want someone to have AoE damage, well, Warhead is your go-to hero, since he acts very similarly to Grimson. Like, both of them have the exact same mobility. They also prioritize area damage when compared with single target. I mean, Grimson should, in theory, act more as a tank, assassin type of hero, but he fails in that regard due to the way his kit is made. I mean, just a slight change to his mutant form, like make it trigger 10 or 15% earlier, and it will already boost Grimson from C to B tier at the very least. But I don't know, and I also think that during the early access or beta phases of the game, it used to trigger way earlier, but for some unknown reason, they decided to revert it or change it or nerf it, however you like to call it. Which again, doesn't really make a lot of sense to me.
Bring it on.
let's pin him down!
Tripping, that is the worst hero spell in the game. I don't even know for which hero was that.
You have my permission to die.
Like, I'm not really familiar with the names per se. Like, if I get explained what they do in particular, I will be able to think about them. Also, did you notice how many lesser eyes leak? It's just because I was using Ballista, which basically wastes so much of its damage when trying to retarget to another enemy, which is why I always say in the argument between Ballista and Royal Archers that Royal Archers are the better tower of the two.
Hardly.
Like, for you to not be able to realize it, that means that you just haven't used Royal Archers long enough.
My permission to die.
I don't think Ignis would work in this game. I don't know. I think that Ignis works in every single game. Maybe apart from Frontier, since his tanking abilities will not work that well in a game which is centered around countering all the barracks and heroes. Ah, you mean Grimson's hero spell? I mean, 300 damage is alright number, but at the same time, you can achieve the same with Therian, his hero spell, and it like vanishes them to the void for 8 seconds. I think it was either 6 or 8, might be 8 actually, which can definitely provide you with way longer stalling power. And also, Grimson's hero spell is quite hard to use it, since you need to time it really well, otherwise enemies might get out of its range or will not get to its range in time, and usually you will mess up the timing just because you think that the enemies are moving fast, but if you have the upgrades for the starter equipped where Dark Army heroes will slow all enemies on screen, like for example, like right now, they'll move 50% slower, and it messes up with your timing since it's usually the same duration with the one for Grimson's hero spell.
Easy meat,
At least
boys.
that's what I found from my testing. While Terrian, well, you just basically do one simple click and it teleports all of the enemies caught inside the area into the void. Like, it's just way more practical. And once again, both of those abilities cannot target flying enemies, which are the main thing that will make you lose the stage.
You have my permission to die.
Like, every single game has its own meta, which I will try to go more in depth in my hero tier list video, since I think it's definitely a topic that's worth discussing. Like for example, in Origins we have a lot of magic resistant enemies, so arcane archers are easily the best tower in that game. Not to mention that the bloodletting shots allows it to deal 2 damage, but let's not get into the specifics of those things. In Frontiers we have a lot of enemies which are centered around countering your barracks and heroes, and well, that's why artilleries perform way better, since they are not made out of units, more so it's a tower, or even battle mecha is a unit which cannot get targeted by enemies. Imagine if it had like 600 HP and could be targeted by enemies, it would make it one of the worst towers in the series by far. Well, maybe not one of the worst, but it will definitely make it from an S tier to a B tier tower at most.
Easy meat, boys.
I mean, yeah, I see why a lot of people will say that Ballista is better than the Royal Archers, since the Scrap Bomb is an artillery-based ability, and artilleries in general don't work in this game. Ballista is an exception, since it's a ranger tower, and it can deal with the blinkers efficiently. Not as well as the Royal Archers, but it still gets the job done. Also, I mean, at least I'll give props to Warhead, he is able to stall out the behemoth for quite a long time. Like, at some point I will have to move him, but he did get the job done, so... And he also has quite decent AoE abilities, but at the same time, his only means of dealing with those lesser eyes and blinkers is his smoke screen ability, like the one which acts as a mini version of his hero spell. I wonder how Boneheart will work. Like, imagine if they bring the Plague Carrier from Frontiers into Alliance, I think that it will break the game once again. Like, it was the reason why it was broken in Frontier, so I could imagine the same happening in Alliance. Also, I think that, yeah, we have Ballista stunning even the Behemoth. Like, it can basically perma-stow it, as far as I'm aware. But you see, those lesser eyes, they are usually the main issue. And Ballista has difficulties trying to retarget to them, like it wastes a lot of shots. For example, if we had Royal Archers in these exact spots, they would have gotten the job done way more efficiently. But okay, I'll try to not get too much in depth when talking about towers, since we will have a stream dedicated just for talking about the towers, but I'll rather have this one have heroes as the main talking point, since I'm still gathering opinions on the heroes' overall rankings and so on. Like, it will not influence my opinion that much, I'm just doing it out of personal curiosity to see some other players' perspective. But I mean, Anya, definitely the second best duelist in the game. Like, just place her against an enemy and she will be able to defeat it, or at the very least stall it for long enough that by the time she will be dead, the enemy will be as well. but at least the hero duel that I'm using right now, it has no means in dealing with fires. Like for example, there is nothing that I can do about these evolving scourges, which is also a thing that should be considered when ranking heroes,
You have
that
my
those
permission
purple
to die.
demons of hell also exist.
I am unlike.
I mean, it also might have been a skill issue on my part for allowing them to get to the clearing, but at the same time, yeah. Okay, we were able to beat the Overseer with just Bagista, but I mean, that's not that huge of an accomplishment. Like, you can basically beat the Overseer even with just the Demon Pit.
Deadly, like the desert.
Take a sip if you dare.
Reach for the stars.
All guns blazing.
Okay, which heroes should we go for next? I think we discussed... I mean, we mainly talked about these three, and these two, and Reagan as well. I think there is more things that we need to talk about to Nairo in particular. Once again, I will not get into the specifics about Torres, since all of us know that he is easily the worst hero in the game. I find Broden to be quite a unique hero, since his gameplay can vary from player to player depending on how you uh, would use him. If I had to pick the most fun heroes, which one would I go for? Well, my favorite duo is easily Anya and Therian. Like, I am personally a big
Deadly, like
fan
the
of
desert.
heroes with great mobility, and we have Therian with her teleport, which basically already makes her one of my favorites. Anya also has a great stalling power, like the best tower in the game, great on mobility as well. We have Dante, which can deal with the annoying blinkers and vile spawners really efficiently, so... And they also pair really well with each other, since one of them deals physical while the other deals magical damage. So it's definitely one of the best hero duels, at least for me in the game. Like, it's a balanced duel, it's not like the dragons, which basically ruin the balance of the game. I mean, I think I should maybe try and showcase how broken Anya is. Like, the fact that she can solo Gorgarind with just a Battle Brewmaster or even Impossible is just straight up insanity. Like, we are talking about 800 and 8000 hit points, and a boss that actually, although some people say doesn't deal a whole lot of damage, he can still erase all of your barracks quite easily. But I don't think that I have the urge to do it, since it does take around 15 minutes to just get to the boss, and the stage in general is just boring for me. Also, a lot of people say that the Dune Sentinels are a really solid tower. Well, they suffer against the blinkers, like you have this ability, which helps them to some extent, but it's not a whole lot in reality. I mean, it's still a cool tower. I was also one of the first people advocating it for being underrated, but at the same time, Royal Archers way outclass it, so... Yeah. Okay, enough about the towers, let's talk about the heroes again. Always getting out of team. Anya and Cosmere are the most fun. Well, everyone has his own personal choices. I've seen even some people say that Torres is their favorite hero, which is like, I don't even know what to say when it comes to that. Like, he's so boring to me, but they will always be people who will find even the most boring thing in the world interesting for them. What does the Battle Brewmaster debuff do? Well, it basically decreases the enemy's damage by 20%. If I'm not mistaken, for I think it was 3 or 4 seconds. Like, the debuff isn't that special, it's just a 20% damage decrease. Also, one super underrated feature about Broden is that, look at these Griffons, they can solo up to 3 blinkers. like when I said that Anya's hero spell like Dante is the best way to deal with blinkers, I actually forgot that Griffons exist. Like they're easily the best way to deal with the blinkers, like there is no denying that. And it's also one of the reasons why I think that Broden is an A-tier hero. Like just the Griffons alone really carry him to a high spot, since once again, each one of their swipes deals 50 damage, and it's a true damage at that, which is always a good thing to have. And in total, each Griffon deals 10 swipes, so you get 1000 damage with each spell usage. And if you use it on a boss, let's say, you can deal up to 33% of the overall damage to the boss with just the Griffons, which is just insane to think about. Sentinels are really good for corrupted stalkers. Well, they can handle them before, I guess, turning into their flying form. Like if they turn, there is next to no towers that can deal with them. Well, maybe apart from Arcane and Elder Channeler. Like both of these towers I consider to be the only ones that can confidently deal with the Scourges.
Deadly. It's all in the list.
Also, aren't Dune Sentinels a little bit busted for this stage, do you reckon? Or it's just Broden being the carry gifter? I mean, at the same time, we have the Flash Behemoth, which takes around 5 to 10 damage with each hit. So by the time that they come, we will get overwhelmed. I mean, at least they are able to deal with everything else on screen, like you see these lesser eyes. Like, we don't care about them, since the Sentinels will be able to deal with them. What does the Battle Brewmaster debuff do? Well, I think I've said it, but just in case, it decreases enemies' damage by 20%, which is not a whole lot when you compare it with the Emissary, which makes all enemies receive up to 50% more damage. Like, that's just crazy busted. Okay, why did you have to move my tower? I just wanted... Yep, thank you. Also, what we thinking about Warhead? Like, are we satisfied with his performance? Like, he can only stall up to one enemy. For example, if we had Ragin in this scenario, we wouldn't have flicked anything. Also, what is this? How did you even manage to transform last second, bro? Chill out. I mean, at least what Warhead has going on for him is that if you manage to micro him well enough, you can delete all the husks with his hero spell, and then his blast will be able to deal with the glarings afterwards. Or, I don't know, maybe just move him behind the enemies and he'll use his jump, and then you have to move him again, and after that he will use his smoke screen. Like, that's a stupid thing to have. I would much rather have him use his smoke screen first and then his jump afterwards, and it will be one of the main things that I'll be discussing. Sentinels are the only good tower bot because I thought they'll be good, but single target damage is so low. Well, yeah, they are. At least when people go for artilleries, like we have the Tree Cannon, the Demon Pit, and the Battle Brewmasters, which are the true artilleries of the game. But then we also have Dune Sentinels, which all of their attacks chain from an enemy to an enemy. And I really like to laugh about the other artilleries when I said that the Dune Sentinels is the best artillery in the game. Also, this guy, the Dwarven Flamespeeder, I consider him to be the best artillery out of all of them, but I still think that I might be overrating him to some extent. I mean, he's a usable tower, but not as much as I expected. Okay, just for once, I will be playing another stage.
Listen to nature.
Otherwise it gets a little bit repetitive. We will use this hero combo this time around. I mean, I don't really care about heroes' voice lines, since I don't find them annoying. If there's a hero that I find annoying, it might be Nairo, since the voice is too childish for my liking. I mean, originally, I thought that Warhead is the second or third worst hero in the game, only behind Torres and, Grimson.
Let's bring the
But after some more experimenting, I realized that I am underrating him to an extent, since there are definitely worse heroes like Vesper. He acts not quite similarly to Warhead, like more so to Onagro per se. But yeah, he has quite powerful area damage spells and so on. So he still has his use cases, although he cannot provide you with any ways of dealing with fires. I mean, since I'm using Kanye and Nairo for this stage, we'll mainly be discussing them, I suppose. One thing I really like for Anya in this stage in particular, since from the top side you have all the spawners coming, and husks and noxious spitters, and well, you can just use Anya, she will walk onto one of them and she will deal with them. Also, one of the main reasons why I was ranking the rocket gunners so high intentionally was just because of this stage, since they deal with the blinkers really well. But at the same time, you can accomplish the same with Royal Archers, or I don't know, even Ballista might work better than them. Well, a lot of people cannot really realize the strength of the Emissary, since it's a support tower, and usually support towers are on the higher skill gap. I mean, the debuff is just insane if you know how busted the Axe Thrower's Totem of Weaknesses in Frontiers. You'll definitely be able to realize the strength of the Emissary in this game as well. Also, one synergy, I guess, for the Battle Brewmasters was supposed to be with Barracks, since it will make the enemies deal less damage. Like, for example, we have the Abomination dealing 2 to 3 damage, since it got debuffed by both Nairo and the tower itself, which is just crazy to think about. But at the same time, there is nobody to address the Noxious Spitters, which will essentially one-shot all of your barracks. But there is also one small thing about them which helps out, but not a lot of people have noticed it. And I will talk about it later in one of my future videos. But for the time being, let's say that they are not the most annoying enemy in the game. Like, you can play around with them. But I mean, right now, I'm mainly using artilleries, and you can see that blinkers are one of our main issues, since I have next to no ways to deal with them. And here's where Nairo comes in handy, since you saw the nature ball that he throws out. It deals quite significant damage. It basically one-shots the blinkers. Well, in this case, we will let one of them leak, but that's just because Nairo is stupid and cannot target the right enemy. But that's why we have Dante, again, Anya being a carry hero. Like, you can see how much Dante helps us out in this case. Also the Pixies, super underrated feature about Nairo. Like, they were the reason why we were able to stop that final blinker. And his hero spell is also so good. Like, it will nullify all the husks or spitters that come out, and the only enemy that we'll have to worry about is the spawner, which we have Anya set to deal with them. Also, one trick that I like doing with my rocket gunners is placing them to the side of the track, where the blinkers will only be able to target only one of them. So if you haven't tried this out, definitely do. It really helps out a lot. How strong is the debuff of the Emissary? It's 20, 30, 40 and 50% damage increase from all sources to the affected enemies, like for the respective tier. Have you tried the cannon with maxed out bombardment? It's pretty good. I've seen the bombardment ability. It's definitely one of the funniest ones to see. Like it's shooting all those shots all over the place. But at the same time, do you know how much it costs you to get it maxed out? Like we are talking about around 1,000 plus gold. And for the same cost, you can basically get to tier 4 towers. Like I can get two tier 4 royal archers, and they'll do way better job than compared to the 3 cannon, even with its bombardment. And also I find the targeting of the ability itself to be way too random, so I don't even think that it's reliable. It's definitely fun to use though, I'll give it that.
Barbecue time!
Reach for the stars.
Also, I don't know why there are even some people who will go as far as say that the Elven Stargazer is the best tower in the game or like a top 3 tower.
The cosmos within.
Like it's such an expensive tower, and even then you still need something else to deal with the blinkers. Like the damage is around 5% higher than that of the Eldritch Channeler when it's unupgraded. But at the same time, for just 450 gold, you more than double the Channeler's damage, and it just outclasses the Stargazer so much that it makes it basically obsolete.
Listen to nature.
I mean, also another thing to note about this game is that mobility is such an underrated thing. Like, I know that a lot of people say that it's not really necessary since you basically place your hero on one spot of the map and then let him go to work, but that's not really the case since you cannot micro them efficiently to catch leakers, and that's a thing that I always like to have in my arsenal. Like going for two slow heroes, like for example if you go for Onagro and Ragin or Ragin and Torres and not having a single hero with good mobility, well, that's not one of my favorite hero duos, let's say that.
Barbecue time! Take a sip if you
Also, these gazers, they could have been for the bottom side, would have done such better job there. Okay, I guess the cooldown was really short for some unknown reason. Also, once again, Anya coming in clutch, like this behemoth had 1001 800 health, and Dante will basically deal half of it,
I guard the green.
and we can move Nairo to
I smell
this
foul
spot
magic.
to help our towers deal with the scourges, since we don't want them to get to declaring.
Red moon's right. Still not ripe. Verdant is nature.
Also, I will probably repeat myself for the 100th time already, but the pixies actually deal significant damage. Also, Anya trying to deal some sort of area damage, but well, it's not really efficient.
I smell foul magic.
Like, look at these gazers, they deal around 300 damage, basically so all of the enemies that get caught inside its radius,
Red moon's
and it
right.
also stuns. Like, what's not to like about it?
I guard the green. They're still not ripe.
Stargazer could literally have twice the damage and still wouldn't be the best match. Yeah, even if you double its damage, it will still get outclassed by all 3 other match options. I mean, in some cases I would consider the Stargazer to be better than the overrated Necromancer,
You're still
but
not
when you
ripe.
compare this tower with the other 3 mages, it doesn't really have a lot of going on for it.
target acquired.
Also, this insta-kill is a little bit strange for the rocket gunners, since it's really unconventional,
This is the way.
like it hardly ever triggers. At least that's what I have noticed.
The truth.
Like in this case, it would have been such a nice addition if they at least shoot it once. And that's why we have Dante to solve our problems. I mean, when you try to rank all the hero spells, it will be hard to decide which one is the best, which one is the second best, and so on. So it will be a cool thing actually to discuss about the hero tier list. Like, for example, if you're going to make a hero tier list, you must as well include hero spell synergies inside it, since it's indeed one of the hugest parts of a hero's kit and shouldn't be overlooked by any means.
Guide my steps. Verdant is listen to nature.
Also, we'll have a lot of horrors
I smell foul magic.
going closer to the exit, but once again, that's we have Anya, like she's basically immortal.
Verdant
There is no stopping her.
is my business. Listen to nature.
While for the top side, well, we'll just use Dante. And just like that, we have both lanes covered by Anya. I mean, yeah, Nairo's hero spell really came in clutch for the top side. But then again, Anya carries with Dante. Also, just look at Nairo, even though he's a mage hero, he has quite a substantial survivability. And also the Wainerian hero spell upgrade, where it full heals your heroes, is also a really busted ability to have.
Verdant is my
I mean, it's actually crazy to consider that these two heroes might be one of the best duos in the game, since I at least have them as the third and fourth best heroes in the game. So yeah, it actually makes sense why I'm doing alright in this stage. Which is, I guess, the third or second hardest one in the game, so... When ranking heroes, do you include the upgrades that Wainerian spell full heal everything? Well, absolutely, you have to take everything into consideration. Like, for example, both of them are really busted. Like, on one side you have the Wainerian, which revives all your allied units, full heals your heroes. It's definitely a solid thing to have. On the other side you have the Dark Army hero spells, which slows the movement speed of all enemies on screen by 50%. And if you chain it with the, like for example, we have two Dantes on the field. Like if it was a Dark Army hero spell, we could have slowed all enemies for 10 seconds, which basically doubles our overall damage by 50% if you think about it. And once again, Anya will come in clutch here, being able to stall out the behemoth for forever. Like, she doesn't even care who she's facing, she'll deal with all of them with ease. And Nairo will come in clutch for the Scourges with his hero spell. Is the stage on impossible? Well, I don't play other difficulties other than impossible, so yeah. At least when ranking heroes or towers or everything else, I will only be taking into consideration stages 12 to 16 and only the impossible difficulty, since those are the only hard levels, and playing on veteran doesn't really showcases hero or tower's full potential. Anya's hero spell resurrecting her is hilarious, because she's invincible already. Like, I mean, if it wasn't enough that Anya cannot die, in case she actually somehow manages to die, you can revive her with Dante, which is just hilarious, yeah. I mean, a lot of casuals really like to base their tier lists or opinions or judgments and everything else when they've only played the game on veteran, and there are vastly different games when you compare the difficulties. Like for example, the meta in veteran might be around Necromancer spam, since the thing that Necro suffers is dealing with blinkers, and in Impossible blinkers have 20% faster movement speed, 50, I don't know what was it, 40 or 50 extra HP, and Necromancer falls off when trying to deal with them. While in Veteran, if he manages to deal with them, he will be one of the best towers in the game, which is also once again why I think that he is considered by a lot of casuals to be the best tower, which they cannot be further from the truth. But that's how things go. Having two Dantes is cursed. I mean, I've seen also an image where someone managed to get three Dantes on the field. That was actually hilarious. You can have three Dantes at the same time, like what?
Listen to nature.
At that point, we are talking about 2700 damage. Like, they can even sow a behemoth for 8 seconds, which is just obnoxious to think about.
I smell foul magic.
Also, I don't even know about these tower abilities, about the Battle Brewmasters in particular, since both of them are useless, at least for me. Like, okay, Noxious Barrel is alright to some extent.
Verdant is my hue.
Okay, I will not read this comment. I think this leads to ballistas being overrated also because in veteran they're probably better than royal archers. Well, I don't think so. Even on veteran, I think that royal archers are still the better tower.
Listen to nature.
Rising.
I mean, I could probably see the scrap bomb being way more useful in veteran when compared to with impossible.
Smell foul magic.
Swift and deadly.
Also, is there any other hero in the game that can stop behemoths that reliably?
Hunting is my
Like Anya? I don't really think so.
I smell foul
Actually,
final
we can go for Event Horizon just this one time, which is like crazy, considering that it's the worst tower ability in the game, but it was already too late. I mean, Anya will be able to handle them,
Father, guide my
which is just crazy. Like, look at this, there isn't any other hero that can do this in this game.
Hunting is my business. I smell foul magic. Listen to nature.
Also, I'm not playing on Veteran, I'm playing on Impossible. Like, Veteran is... It's not good when you are trying to rank heroes or towers, and just boring overall. Like, the real experience is when you play on Impossible. Yeah, mainly, the thing about Impossible is that it busts Flyer's movement speed, and it really counters a lot of the towers in the game, which are definitely usable in Veteran. But ranking tower
Moon's rising.
just because of how good it is on veteran is just stupid, at least for me. Also, I
Verdant is
really like the feature where the cutscene zooms you in to the boss. Like, that's just annoying. I want to see the full screen at all times. It's just more convenient.
foul magic.
Watch its head!
Feel the cosmos within.
Also, when you're trying to stall Midrias, like Anya, can act as a second King Venus, basically. Like, just in case he dies, which will most likely not happen, especially when you're using two Wainerian heroes, since you have two abilities to full heal him at all times.
You're still not right. Guide my hunting is my business.
Why is Umnir better than Cosmere? Well, I will go in depth in my hero ranking as to why I think that Umnir is slightly better than Cosmere, but I'll give you a TLDR. So,
My hue.
the thing about Cosmere is that yes, he doesn't have he does indeed have quite an insane area damage potential, but the thing is that I would much rather have Umnir as a single target speciality, since you have her hero spell which nullifies 3 enemies, which is quite a lot, in my honest opinion. And you have the Holy Sword, which basically one-shots the Vow spawners, combined with the hero ability, and just a great thing to have.
Red moon's rising.
While Cosmere, he's busted just because of his hero spell and the crystals. Like, you can use the crystals on top of, let's say, Mindless Husks, and then you can use the hero spell to finish all of them off.
Feel the cosmos within.
Okay, why do I also have 5000 gold? Like, is that even normal? Like, I can spam so much teleports, which is absolutely unnecessary, but why not? I mean, just goes to show that Tanya and Nairo is such a great hero duo to use. But yeah, that's basically my thought process behind ranking Kumnir and Cosmere. Basically, it doesn't matter which one you think is the better one. Both are S tier dragons, both are extremely good heroes. So
Listen to nature.
I don't really care which one you consider to be the best one.
You're still not right.
Very easy stage this one, even possible at least the boss battle is funny. Well, yeah, I usually finish this boss battle in around 2 or 3 minutes at most. This time it will take me around 5 to 6 minutes, but that's just because I'm trying out some random stuff, mainly trying to showcase the heroes' power.
You're still not right.
There is no stages in this game that are anywhere near as difficult as Nazarus Gate or some of the other harder stages from the first three. If you think that Nazarus Gates is a harder stage than this one, I don't know. In some cases it could prove to be hard. Also, we have Elven Stargazer, such an overrated tower, like it cannot even deal with Void Blinkers reliably. So I still cannot get the hype about this tower. Also, rare footage of Anya finally dying to some enemy. These Iron Marines can dodge the rockets, they waste it on lower target. Yeah, most of the time this ability gets wasted, which is why I usually prefer to leave them unupgraded. Also, it's funny to see the Elven Stargazer trying to teleport Midrias, but it doesn't work on bosses.
Listen to
Also, it might be a better idea to just place them on flank mode. Also, do you see this? We no longer have enemies spawning just because I've prolonged the fight for so long. And again, the Wainerian upgrade 3 upgrade coming in handy, like we were able to full kill Dinas, otherwise he would have gone down. Not to mention some of the post-competitive, but that's not fair. Well, I still think that Alliance is one of the hardest games in the franchise, so I don't have anything negative to say about it. I mean, Vengeance and Alliance clearly were made by different people than the ones who made the first three. Well, they do have different teams working on their games at the same time. Like, for example, we have a team of around 8 or 9 people working on Alliance and another team of 7 to 8 people working on Vengeance at the moment. While the first three games, they have all been declared finished, so they will no longer receive updates, which is once again sad thing to hear, but well then that's how Ironhide decided the things to be around here. I thought you tried a challenge to not spend gold. Yeah, I also don't know why I didn't spend it. I guess the stage wasn't really that difficult, but at the same time, once again, as I've stated, Anya is the third and Nairo is the fourth best hero in the game, so it was expected for me to be easy. Okay, so those were all the comments. Okay, so what heroes should we try now? I want to give Therian another shot, maybe on Nagro, yeah. One more turn for Nagro just for fun, and I think that this will be the end of my live stream. Since I've been live for how long, once again? I don't know, maybe around 2 hours. Okay, we will play stage 14, just for difference this time around. Yeah, Vengeance is still getting updates. It will receive another DLC with 5 additional levels, new hero, new tower, most likely in December, if I were to guess.
Fan the flames! Idiot starts the fire!
The truth is out there.
Swift and deadly.
I mean, at this point, if I have to be honest, I am more excited about the Vengeance DLC than the October update for Alliance, since I might sound a little bit pessimistic, but I don't feel like Ironhide can top off the quality that the main campaign presented for Alliance. I feel like that a lot of people will be let down by the October stages that will come with the update. I guess Boneheart will be a great addition, and he will most likely either break the game or be utterly useless, depending on whether or not they decide to let him use his Plague Carrier ability from Frontiers. well, Vengeance is like 10 times better than one, so that's fine for it to get another overpriced campaign. Well, I won't go as far as to say that Vengeance is 10 times better than Alliance. In terms of content, yeah, sure, it has way more, but we have to consider in the fact that Alliance has been out for only a week, while Vengeance was released over 5 years ago. Again, a thing which usually gets overlooked. Also, the thing about Nairo is, well, you just basically place him in the front and call it a day
Behold the
and
unending.
expect him to do all the job. And in this case, we only have enemies coming from this side, so it might be a good idea to move him, but by the time he gets to the other again, the enemies have already gone to the exit. Do you think once you only get DLC and not 3 new stages? The October update is not a DLC. Like, the whole update is free, apart from the Hero and Tower, which both will be paid, but that is to be expected. Like, they're using the same formula as the one they did in Vengeance, but the stages will all be free, and I feel like the next couple of updates, let's say up to 2026, will all be free updates, like you don't have to pay like you had to for the Hammer Cold one. I mean, once again, the reason why I recommend the Steam version is that after you buy it once, you no longer have to make another transactions in the game. Also, yeah, Vengeance's main campaign is just abysmal, like a lot of the stages are so repetitive, boring, the pacing is just horrible, and the only good thing about the campaign is the Joku and Dinos' castle boss fights, where they actually try to make something unique, and we are talking about 2018, and by the time they were still really early on in game development, so seeing such unique stages was definitely a cool thing to have. But like in terms of Alliance and Vengeance, like the main campaign Alliance is like 10x better. At least the final part, yeah, the first two might be slightly a letdown, but at least the stages are all memorable and unique and have their own cool gimmick. And also, another thing about Vengeance, if it wasn't for Hammerhold, the game would have easily been the worst one, even though it has the most stages out of any Kingdom Rush game. Also, what are we thinking about Unagro's hero spell? I don't know, I find it unconventional to use, like the AoE damage is alright. I'm not sure if I have it maxed out right now, so it might not perform as well as expected. But Styrian's hero spell is definitely one of my favorites, like you can do this, it's so broken. Good point, but main campaign in Vengeance was actually great beside boss fights. Alliance has the most overall campaign in the series plus most boring enemies, the boss fights are the redeeming part. I don't know, I think you have everything reversed, at least for me. The bosses in Alliance are definitely one of the worst features for it. Like the only good boss fight was the Overseer, and that was just because it was a one-wave boss stage, which is super customizable. Like you can even try to play it as an endless level,
Behold the unending.
which some people still cannot really get a good grasp on.
Reach for the stars.
But I guess people who want endless will continue to cry about not having an endless mode. So it is what it is. Oh, I thought they got greedy and will stop doing 3 new stages after they met. No. Alliance is still really early on in its development. Like, there is no chance that they'll consider doing DLCs this early on. Like, they saw that it worked for the Hammerhold one for Vengeance, but that's why they're doing another one DLCs for Vengeance, not for Alliance. Like, the difference is huge, and it usually people cannot differentiate the two. But Alliance will only be receiving updates for the time being. Like, I'm expecting at least to 2026 to only have updates. Which, once again, if you get the Steam version, of the content that will come with those updates will be free for you. So you know what to do. The game of Leviathan in Kingdom Rush with instant waves is impossible. Well, if you use Assassin Cheese, it definitely gets way easier. You're saying Venus enemies are boring in a once conversation, what are you on about? Well, I'm not saying anything against the enemies in Vengeance. The thing is that the pacing is so bad executed that it just makes the overall feel and flow of the game way worse when compared to Avance. Like right now, I always have something to worry about, like there is always an enemy on screen. While in Vengeance you have to wait basically for 30 seconds or even a minute in some rare occasions where nothing interesting will happen. And you'll be just like waiting for the next wave to come, which is just stupid. And also, yeah, 80% of the enemies in Vengeance are slow, which is just such a bad enemy design. Like, how could you not at least make half the enemies have medium speed? Like, in this game, only the first part of the campaign already has way more fast-moving enemies than that of Vengeance, which is just crazy, considering that the first act should be, in theory, easier than normal, just because it acts as an introductory one. Also, this stage in particular, I really like using Therian since you have a lot of enemies coming from both sides in some occasions, and the teleport is really nice thing to have. I complete the game 100%, got really into it, and analyzed every hero and tower in detail. Let me send you my tier list. Would you like to see? Well, I have my Discord in one of my community posts, so feel free to join, and there you can find me. I would be glad to see your tier lists. Also, if you've played all the stages in Impossible, it would be even better, since I'll know that at least the argumentation is solid, unlike some casuals, which just beat the game on veteran and consider some of the towers and heroes broken, and when they try them in Impossible, they realize how bad they actually are. Once is harder, yes, White Him, but Vengeance had more appealing visual enemies, is what I mean. Fighting them was fun, nonetheless, even if they weren't anything special. I don't know, I really like the art direction that Alliance was headed in, personally. It gives me that Origins vibe, and I feel like that Origins had the best art style out of all the games in the trilogy, at least for me. I don't know, maybe some people might say that Frontiers had better art style and so on, but to me Origins was definitely special. It just gives you that majestic feel to it. Avance has one same concept, spam chunky flank enemies, and enemies who force their way by being unblockable. Well, yeah, the thing about Avance is that the balance around towers and heroes usually is dependent on how much they're capable to deal with flank enemies, since they're the main threat in this game. Like, I can see that point as valid. Like, enemies, at least fires, definitely some of them should get a nerf. And funny thing, blinkers actually used to have 50% more HP during the beta version, so it always know that it could have been worse. I mean, yeah, for example, there is nothing that you can do about this evolving Scourge, like, that's just stupid. And we are also using one of the best heroes to deal with fires, like, for example, Nairo is... I'll consider him to be one of the best. Also, we have that cute fella coming in. Like, I don't know how I'm gonna deal with him, since none of my towers are specialized for that right now. I don't know, maybe I'll just try to lower his armor and hope things work out. How many mini campaigns do you guys think Alliance will get? Is it gonna be 3 like in Frontiers and Origins, or more like in Vengeance? personally, I think that Alliance will be headed into the same direction as Vengeance, so expect at least double the stages for the next year. Like by the time we get to 2016, Alliance should have at least 30 stages. Is my speculation.
Let there be stars.
Dark White Depths in Alliance would be cool. Like how's that? So trying barracks only once again, but this time in Alliance with the 2 hero. And they'll still get wrecked by the
To the final frontier.
bad calls. I don't know, not a huge fan of that level, even if it was implemented in Alliance. Do you know what are the differences between Veteran and Impossible? I just finished Veteran and it was a bit too easy, sadly. Well, mainly the HP differences. At least in Impossible, I think that almost all enemies have around 10% extra HP. Also, these fellas, the Void Blinkers, they move 20% faster. So they are definitely way more annoying to deal with when compared to Veteran. And also some other enemies have, I think, their resistances increased. Like for example, the Noxious Spitters, when they enter the range of the Glare, I think they have around 90% magic immunity. While in Veteran it's around 30, but don't quote me on that since I'm not 100% sure. Hey Joant, what's up man? In Frontiers, I'm winning even despite DD with Tome, so yeah, I as well. I mean, I'm still trying to beat that stage with barracks only, but without Boneheart, since I feel like that using Boneheart is a cheese. Like if I can pull it off with Burks, I will be more than happy. Also, do you see that sometimes the Blade Claw horrors get ridiculous movement speed? Like, look at this, look at this. Is that normal? I think that this is a thing that only happens in Impossible, and it's some rare instance. Like it gets bugged out or something. I don't know how it actually happens, but it's definitely an interesting thing to note. Also, they haven't worked anything since Vengeance, we still have those irritating upgrade points instead of star upgrades. Well, I don't know, I think that there are both pros and cons to having the different upgrade tree system, since you are no longer needed to beat the stage with 3 stars, like for example, I beat this one only with 2, but I won't need to replicate once again. Also, I guess the fact that you no longer have to play the Irons and Heroics for extra stars, well, that's probably one of the biggest cons of the new system, since it no longer encourages you to play around with these modes. And the thing about the Irons is that they usually try to teach you a thing or two about the towers, since the waves are designed in a way that they will showcase the towers' strengths. But in Vengeance and Alliance, well, you don't really experience that. You just breeze through the campaign and yeah, that's it. I agree, I agree. I mean, there are both pros and cons to both systems, but yeah. You think that they get fast speed after killing allies? I don't know, it might be the case, it may be not. Still need more testing to check it out. Haven't really looked that deep into the gameplay to notice it. But I'm pretty think exclusive to Impossible mode. I mean, everyone has his own opinions. I'm just trying to think more conservative. Like I always try to find the positive things rather than just speak negatively, since there are usually things that are good and bad. Like for example, I really need a button here which says Encyclopedia, so I can see the stats of the enemies. I personally agree with people saying that the game should have Encyclopedia, like there is no denying that.
Fantastical spell!
Deadly, like the desert.
So shall it be. What are you looking at?
That guy that traps towers trapped my necromancer forever. Is that normal? Well, if you killed him and he
You
still
have my
continues to
permission
have your
to
tower
die.
trapped, then it's definitely not normal. It's more like a bug.
It's
I think
all
I've
who
seen
strikes
some other
first,
people
strikes
say
best.
that
Deadly,
it's
like
permanent
the desert
even
to
after
me,
defeating
like the
him. I
desert.
don't know how that actually happens or how to replicate it, but it's definitely annoying if it does happen quite occasionally.
Trust the wind.
I think there would be more of the incentive to complete heroics and irons if they were displayed like stars in the hub. Yeah, maybe. But still, the main thing that encouraged you to play the heroics and irons was the stars that you get for the upgrades, rather than just for the purpose of filling the star amount in the corner, since you could farm them and make the next stage way easier. Dual Sentinels are the goat of them. Well, Ant, you were the one that was hating on them, so at least you worked your lesson. It only took me like, how much was it? 3 or 4 days to convince you otherwise?
I am unrivaled.
But I mean, you also did convince me that Reagan and Warhead I was expecting, so I'll give you props for that as well. Are the first two heroes, Archer and Warrior, somehow viable or just fun picks? Well, Rylin is basically the second best free hero.
Hardly a match.
Like, she's one of the best duelists in the game. And these guys, the Vile Spawners, Rylin is
You
one of
have my
their best
permission to
counters.
die.
Like, by the time she gets to him, it would have been long late, but you get the point. Like, let's pretend that Rylin was already in this spot. She basically one-taps him with the Brutal Slash ability, like right now. But if we try to micro her to the other side, it's just frustrating. I mean, she will get on time to stop the Blade Call Horrors, but I would much rather have a fast hero like Nairo in this case. Like, if you're wondering about the free heroes, the best ones are Easy, Nairo, and Ragin. And then we have Grimson and Vesper. Like, Vesper is also viable. Like, the only hero I would consider to not be viable is Grimson. But at the same time, this game actually has a good hero balance when compared with the tower one. Like, towers really have a lot of work to go through. And Taurus is actually the only hero that I would never ever suggest for anyone to use, since he will be
You
playing
have
at a
my
disadvantage.
permission to die.
Swift and deadly.
I mean, I'm at least happy that you finally gave them a chance, since I do think that they're one of the best towers when it comes to dealing with lesser eyes or mindless husks, even glarings. Like, you know that artilleries are bad in this game, and unironically, Dune Sentinels are the best artillery in the game. Well, maybe after Eldritch Channeler, but still, I would consider Eldritch Channeler more so as a mage tower rather than an artillery one. Also, having no heroes to stop blinkers is definitely annoying, since if I had to Nagro or Nairo, I wouldn't have flicked these two fellas. Also, the thing about the Demon Pit is that it can help the evolving Scourges like get to their final stage way easier, which is rather stupid since they explode. Like, I don't know how they can still manage to devour them when they explode, but okay, it is what it is. Bounty Hunt is just so good. I don't know. Tier 4 and leave them unupgraded. I think that this is the best use case. I'm not a huge fan of their abilities. Like, the Whirling Doom is okay to deal with the husks. Like, tier 1 is fine. Tier 2 and 3 is just overkill. It's unneeded.
Hardly a match.
If it increases the cooldown, like makes it use it faster, then yeah, sure, but no. Just no. Hero 1 had by far the best heroic and iron system due to hero system and upgrade restriction, making so that they're the same difficulty when you unlock them and when you finish the game. Yeah, definitely. Kingdom Rush 1 has one of the hardest heroics and irons as well, so this shouldn't be neglected.
Strike first, strike fast. Deadly.
Like we have Nightfang Swell Iron, we have Twin Rivers Iron, we have Pagra's Heroic. It restricts you from using heroes, upgrades. Like the stages are so difficult. I don't actually know why that's not the case for Alliance. It's probably due to the way the star tree works. Like it doesn't allow you to have different
Permission to
tiers allowed for you. Also, being able to use two heroes at level 10 for the first 10 or 12 stages, it completely shatters the balance of the irons and heroics. Like it makes so of these stages really trivial. Unlike Kingdom Rush 1, where you have all sorts of restrictions.
Trust the wind.
By the way, what is the cooldown on Bounty Hunt? Asking just out of curiosity, since I never really took notice of it. I mean, saying that it has basically the same DPS as the base tower is a little bit crazy. But I mean, how much do you have to spend? That's 500, 750 gold we are talking about. Like for that exact same cost, you can basically get another tier 4 Dune Sentinel. So is it really worth going for it instead of just adding another tower on the field? I don't know. At least for me, the best strategy when it comes to using Dune Sentinels is just spamming them around the map and they'll get the job done. Remember when Blackburn was menacing? Now he's just another chunky dwarf in oversized armor. Yeah, they definitely killed him in Alliance. Like, what is this? Bro got so small. I think Ironhide would do heroics and irons, but they know the community would complain. I don't know. Also, one another thing to note is that stage 16 doesn't have iron and heroic stages. I mean, it makes sense. You defeated the Overseer. What do you expect to happen next? But in the game files, you actually have wave compositions for the iron and heroic stage, and you can access them if you modify the files, just to add them into the game. And the stage is really interesting since the Overseer will not appear, and it looks so unfinished and strange. Like if I somehow manage to figure it out, I will show it, since it's definitely fun to see. But yeah, otherwise, I think that this was everything that I wanted to discuss for now. If you have any other questions, do let me know. I will answer them and then I'll end the stream, since I think I pretty much covered every single hero. Some more in detail, others not as much. I tried to do a good job, but I guess tomorrow we'll see after I finish the video. We'll try definitely to discuss every single hero ability, since it will be fun to go through each one of them. Yeah, and the thing is that they actually never did another art for the stage. Like, all of this is just empty, it's just void, and the Overseer covers it, so you don't notice it. Well, I guess that there are no more questions in the chat, so I will be ending the stream again. Thank you everyone who stopped by, said hi, expressed his opinions. I really appreciate all of them. Then again, that hasn't stopped them from making charges for the final levels of the other games. So, well, yeah, but this one is a little bit more unique per se. since you defeated him. Then what? Like, you just bring him back? It doesn't make sense, at least to me. 1v1 or towers versus 1 for your videos. Check out how Battle Mecha does that. I don't really care what he does. I prefer him, I decide not to. So, yeah. Okay, I think that these were all the questions. So, once again, thank you everyone for stopping by. I hope to hear you again soon. There maybe will be another stream later this week. Expect my hero tier list video tomorrow. It will be around an hour long. So yeah, we are all hyped. I personally am not, since the editing is painful, to say the least. But yeah, that's it from me for now. Have a good day, afternoon, or night, depending on where you are currently. And see you soon.